when the Indian people lived along the Minnesota River in the summertime, and there were summer planting villages. There was a village actually was a long stretch of farms along the river where the women grew corn beans and squash and pumpkins. The guys played games, and the kids got to know each other. There was this boy who lived up at the north end of the west end of the river, who was in love with a girl who lived down by where it joins the Mississippi River. But there's those three big guys that kept her away from him. You couldn't get near her to talk to her, to smile at her or anything, because they knew when they grew up they wanted, one of them was going to marry her, not this kid from the far end of the village. And so he was distraught and he didn't quite know what to do, so he took a walk in the woods, upriver. And he was walking along the base of a bluff, and he heard a sound. He said, if I could find that sound and make that music or whatever it was, maybe, his plan was not real clear, but he knew that he had to have whatever that was making that kind of music. So he walks over and there's a red cedar tree that's got a dead branch that the woodpecker made some holes in. And as the wind passed over the holes and made the sound, he said, I'll get it. And so he breaks it off. And couldn't make the sound. Play it around, blow through it, nothing. He knew he'd ripped it up, but he didn't know quite what he'd done or how to fix it. So he went to the woods and he took a nap and fell asleep. So the date of the story had to be before the Ojibwe people showed up, because Dakota kid or any kid, Iowa Indian kid, whoever was here, whatever story this is, we would not go in the woods and fall asleep if there was enemies around. So it had to be a time of relative peace. And while he was sleeping, these dancers came to him, the elk dancers, Elk Medicine Society dancers, and said, kid, I'm going to do you a favor, we're going to tell you how to fix your instrument. Listen up now. And in the dream they showed him how to do it. So when he woke up, he went over to a pine tree, got off one of those big globs of pitch, you see, chewed on it a little while and stuffed it in the end of the stick until it got about a third of the way in. And then he took his knife and he made a hole one side of it, where it was blocked, and a hole on the other side of where it was blocked. And then he took a piece of bark and took a piece of rawhide and put it over the two holes, so that when he blows in the end of the flute of this instrument, the air comes out the first hole, because it's blocked between the two holes. Comes out, this first hole goes underneath the piece of bark and across the second hole, and that's where it makes its sound, going across that second hole. That's why when you microphone these things, you put the microphone up by where the hole is, not down here where you're just distorting the volume of the air in the thing. The sound is made here. Well, the notes are down here, but the sound is up here. Make the notes by pushing down here, but all the sound is made up here. So he got it. So he goes and he makes one of these things, and he takes that stick and he pushes the pitch down, and of course he has to figure out some music to play. So he invents some tunes and stuff. He goes back one night, and it's really dark, outside the lodge of the woman whose daughter he is in love with. Plays his flute. And inside they say, ghosts. Because they never really heard such a sound. The next morning, as dawn comes, he's out there on the rock outside the lodge. And the girl comes out. Bullies are not around, they're still asleep. And by the end of the summer, the boy and the girl are married. And one thing you do when you get married, is she took down her hair. Before marriage, the Dakota people traditionally girls would wear their hair in pigtails, braids. And when you get married, you take the holders off. They're made out of eel skin. Eels are long, narrow fish that grow in shallow water along the river. You catch them, you chop carrots, and so you got O-rings, and when you clean out the flesh outside of the ring, inside the ring, and when they dry, it's not as nasty as it sounds. When they dry, they're like rubber binders, okay? She'd wear those in her hair, and she'd take them out and she'd put them over the holes in the flute so we could never play that for any girl ever again. Then she'd probably put it on her side of the bed, too. The next spring, the guys in the village come to him and they say, hey, can you teach us how to make one of those things? That's cool. Maybe we can get the girls to come out of their lodges in the middle of the night as well. And he said, I don't know, maybe I can. So he has a dream, and the elk medicine dancers come to him and say, okay, you're now a member of our society, you can teach people how to make these flutes. And as I said, within 50 years, he's courting flutes, corotankas, were throughout North America, just at least north of Mexico. Very common. They spread like crazy because you could use them to lure the young women outside of their mom's lodges, their dad's lodges, if you're a patrilineal tribe, in the middle of the night. And what you do traditionally, you play your flute, and all the boys have a different tune, okay? So you imagine along the river there's all these guys with their flutes that they've made themselves, and with different tunes, so that the girls in the middle of the night would know which boy was outside what lodge. And if it was a boy that she didn't have anything to do with, she wouldn't come out. If it was a boy that she recognized the tune, and she said, well, maybe I'll come out, she'd come out. The rule was you could stand under a blanket stand for maybe 10 minutes, and the mom would whisper, you gotta come back in. A lot of stuff you can do under a blanket, and pretty soon she'd be pregnant, and they get married. So it's very common, these courting flutes are very common.